This must be coming from the person who drove her, because we haven't been able to speak to her. She disappeared. Do we believe that? Do we believe that she was spooked, and that's why he says he dropped her off, not at her front door, but near the front of the complex? Oh, what do you think? Call me, 1-877-JVM says. Straight out to Amanda Weber with News 14. What do you know about this breaking news about the search in a pond 9 miles approximately from the bar where she spent the evening Friday night into Saturday? Do you hear me, Amanda? Amanda, can you hear me? Okay, well, she can't hear. Let me say this. I want to go to Dr. Dale Archer, a clinical psychiatrist who's here with me on set. There's some disturbing things about this guy who has now told a local affiliate that he drove her home to her apartment complex. He's a sex offender. We're not going to give you his name right now, and we got to stress, he has not been named a suspect or even a person of interest. But he's a 25-year-old man who helps out at the bar where Kelly spent Friday evening. And this is what disturbs me. He reportedly lives in a lean-to behind the bar, and most disturbing of all, reports claim he was convicted in 2003 when he was 16 years old of indecent liberties with a 5-year-old child. ABC 11 reporting that he says he had nothing to do with Kelly's disappearance and that he thinks he's being targeted because of his criminal record. Thoughts, Dr. Dale Archer?
Well, he's being targeted because he's the last person to see her. So, I mean, he's got to be targeted no matter what. But here's what I wonder. So she says she's spooked. And I wonder, is she spooked about something going inside the car, i.e. him, or is there something out there that she's spooked and she doesn't want to go all the way back to her place and wants to get out early? So I think that's a hugely important question. But, you know, at first I thought, wow, her intuition kicked in, said this guy was dangerous and wanted to get out of the car, but it could go either way.
Well, my question is, was she spooked at all? I mean, everything is coming, Vikki Ziegler, from the word of this man, this registered sex offender who lives in a lean-to behind a bar.
Right. I mean, there's no credibility at this point. We don't know. Nobody else has seen what happened to her after she left the bar. There has to be this full investigation, which is ongoing. We don't know exactly what happened to her. Was he the last person to see her? Did he actually drop her off in front of the complex, in front of her apartment? And most importantly, where did that text message come from? Her phone saying, "I'm home safely." That is a critical element. Did it come from the vehicle within which this sex offender dropped her off? Was it far away? Was it 9 miles away? That's a big question.
All very good questions, and we're looking at a map there of some of the key points in this search for this beautiful, she really is stunning, 23-year-old, very petite, 99 pounds. That's the pond they're searching now. Cops say they're basing this search on Kelly's last cell phone pings, which hit off some towers near what's being called the North Ramsey Corridor, which is near the bar. Listen to this from a news conference that occurred just a little while ago.
Our investigation has revealed to this point cell phone records from Miss Bordeaux's telephone were pinging off the cell tower along the tower sites along the North Ramsey Street corridor.
All right, now here's a street view of part of the area near the Froggy Bottoms bar. Kelly lives less than a mile from this area in an apartment complex off the base. She is involved with Fort Bragg, but she has her own apartment in an apartment complex. I want to go now, Amanda Weber, we've got you, News 14, and ask you, do you have any idea why authorities decided to search this pond, which is 9 miles away? And what do you know? We have so many questions. Have they found her cell phone? Have they found her purse? Have they found her ID? What do you know? Give us all the details you've acquired.
And Jane, this morning at the news conference, reporters and myself were asking Chief Tom Bergemine questions just like that, and he's staying very tight-lipped on those questions. But around 4 o'clock this afternoon, they moved their search from here at the Froggy Bottoms bar in and around this area to about 8 miles from this area, just south of I-295. They say they're at a private property. That pond is on a private property. They say that a tip led them there. When asked about that tip, they're not giving any information into that.
All right, well, at some point of the night, Kelly sent 2 text messages to an unknown recipient. One said, quote, got home safely. That's super important. Now, again, here's a street view of Kelly's apartment. Did Kelly really get home safely and send that text message? One of the problems with text messages is anyone can send them. Anyone can type them in from somebody else's phone. It's not like hearing somebody's voice. So I want to go out to Steve Moore, former FBI agent. You've been analyzing this case. What do you make of it?
Well, I'm bothered by that message where it says got home safely. If you have just communicated with somebody that you're spooked about something, and then later on you just give a three-word thing, got home safely, that's inappropriate. When you have scared somebody about your situation, you're going to call them or give them more of an explanation than, oh, just got home safely, not going to explain it. And there's also things you can do. You can look in the apartment and see if there is evidence of somebody coming home, turning on an air conditioner, turning on a heater, turning on a light. The fact that she was driven home by a licensed sex or a registered sex offender, to me, is what we would call a clue. The obvious inference here is that there's a problem, and you don't want to ignore that.
All right. Well, you raised some good points. We're going to get to Judy, Massachusetts. On the other side, we're taking your calls. 1-877-JVM says 1-877.
My sister is missing. She is, she's the most amazing person I know. Her friends and family love her very much. If anybody knows anything, please contact the Fayetteville Police Department.
And apparently this pond about 9 miles away from the bar where Kelly Bordeaux spent Friday evening into Saturday morning being searched as we speak. We understand that her husband is participating in the search and is in the area where searches are going on. Meanwhile, we've been asking what is going on with Kelly's husband of 2 years. His name apparently Mike. Last night, Kelly's mom told us there might be trouble in paradise. Listen to this.
He was down in Florida visiting with his father that lives in Florida.
So
but he was presumably coming back. I mean, they were having some marital problems, but the person that drove her home wasn't, you know, any kind of person to her. I think he was just a friend of hers.
The missing woman's husband just spoke off camera to NBC 17 and said, quote, I would never lay a hand on her, adding, the marriage is, quote, happy, and they are not estranged, as police have reported, and as you just heard from the missing woman's mother. We heard from Kelly's mom that he was in Florida at the time that her daughter vanished Saturday. But he is not confirming that with the local station he spoke with, except to say he was not at the apartment. But he also said he talked to Kelly at 3 p.m., just hours before she disappeared, and everything was fine. What do you make of it? Clinical psychiatrist Dr. Dale Archer.
Well, the spouse of a murder victim statistically is going to be...
Whoa. We don't know murder yet. We hopefully, God willing, we're praying that she is going to be found okay. I understand what you're saying, but I just want to caution. Go ahead.
Okay. So with a murder, the spouse is the number one suspect. And statistically speaking, they commit the act more than anyone else does. So by definition, when you have a missing person, the spouse is going to be a person of interest. Unless they have a rock-solid alibi that can't be broken, he's going to be looked at. So I don't care what he says about how good the marriage was, and I don't care what anybody else says about how bad the marriage was. He's going to be looked at, and he's going to have to be accounted for.
Well, if he was in Florida, obviously this is happening in North Carolina, but it's interesting that he wouldn't confirm that he was in Florida, as the missing woman's mother told us last night.
And
okay,
we worked a case not too long ago, Jane, where the guy drove in the middle of the night, all the way through the night, and ended up committing a murder when he was supposedly said he was several hours away by car. So, you know, he could be saying he was there, but unless he has absolute documented proof, it's going to be a problem.
All right, and we want to say he is not considered a suspect or a person of interest. There are no suspects or persons of interest. All right, we've got a caller. I missed it. Anita? Shanita, Virginia, your question or thought. How you doing?
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
My question is, have the authorities searched this registered sex offender's residence or his car? He lives right behind the bar. Has anybody executed a search warrant in either of the two?
Well, I can tell you, I don't know. That's an excellent question. I don't know whether those documents have been filed, but I can tell you the police were swarming all over that area. And Steve Moore, former FBI, the fact that it's a lean-to, I mean, it seems like something they could almost like peer into and see why somebody is living in a lean-to, according to published reports, is beyond me. They apparently help at the bar. By the way, we've been calling this bar on and off ever since the story broke, and we have not gotten through. The phone is busy. All right, your thoughts, Steve Moore?
Well, I think the lean-to gives him less of an expectation of privacy. They could probably do more with on a search without a warrant than anywhere else. I would suspect that they're going to look through that with a fine-tooth comb and his vehicle. It surprises me that he has a lean-to and a vehicle.
Yeah, there are so many unanswered questions here, Vikki Ziegler, family law attorney. Do you think, for example, that the husband, and again, you know, he may have been 1,000 miles away, should lawyer up just for his own protection or not?
Absolutely, right away. I mean, at this point, and Dr. Dale Archer is 100% right, 25 to 30% of women that are killed are usually killed by their husband, boyfriend, or an ex. So you know that the police is looking at him. So if you were in Florida, I would say, Kelly's husband, you better go tell them, provide proof, whether you drove there, you took a plane there. Make sure that you can provide a stone-cold alibi that you weren't actually at this bar or near this bar when, in fact, this woman disappeared.
Yeah, and again, we have no suspects in this case. On the other side, we're going to talk about how dangerous this area is and a recent rape, which raises the possibility of other suspects.
I just can't imagine this is it's even happening right now.
I'm so
it's hard
sorry.
to believe. I just can barely function without knowing where my daughter is at this point.
Our heart goes out to the mother of this missing soldier. Cops searching this pond as we speak. And I want to tell you, we were scheduled to speak to that mother tonight, as well as the sister of missing Kelly Bordeaux. And now they are not responding to our calls. And we hear that this search is going on. We see it's going on right now at the pond. We don't know, but certainly it's kind of ominous. We hope that it's not bad news, but we don't know. Something could be going on. Let's suffice it to say that. Judy, Massachusetts, your question or thought? Judy.
Yes, hi, Jane.
Hi.
Jane, I was just wondering, did they ever find her cell phone, or how do they know if a person did take her, if they didn't take the phone and toss it to mislead the police?
Absolutely. Or texted. That text got home safely. That certainly could be typed in by anyone who had access to that phone. Now, I have to say this. Cops haven't named a person of interest, but our affiliate is saying that Kelly went with a registered sex offender to the bar that night. And additionally, here's another complication. This county, Cumberland County in North Carolina, has 434 sex offenders. According to one website, which is neighborhoodscout.com, this city, Fayetteville, North Carolina, only has a ranking of 3 out of 100 on the crime index. So 100 is the safest. 3 is a very dangerous place. This is really bizarre that it rates a 3. I can tell you there have been numerous stories that we found in our research of serious crimes in and around Fort Bragg. In fact, less than 3 weeks ago, a jogger said she was raped less than a quarter mile from the very bar that Kelly vanished from. Cops say they don't know if these two are connected. But again, here's something else that cops have to worry about. The possibility that nobody that we've mentioned heretofore is involved. And it's some rapist that was raping 3 weeks ago, Dr. Dale.
Right. Well, you know, I did a search because when I saw this, I said, man, so many crimes around this military base. Is that common for all military bases? And the answer is no. I did a Google search on it. I couldn't find that anywhere else. So then I wonder, what is it about this area? What is it about this base? I don't know, but clearly you can get a persona for a region, and when you start having these crimes, you get copycats that are jumping in, and the next thing you know, it becomes an epidemic, and that looks like what we're dealing with here.
And briefly, sometimes there's a false sense of security. Oh, a military base, just like a university.
Or a police station across the street. That doesn't mean crimes don't occur right there. Of course they do. Anyone could be the person of interest at this point. Interviewing, surveillance cameras, who was at the bar, who saw her leave. These are all really important questions.
Thank you, panel. Up next, a missing mom in Florida. I mean, at this point, I would assume that police have a complete timeline of everything they did. They're going to get the ticket stubs for the movie. And the question, obviously, is they have focused on this man. Well, again, we invite him on at any time or his attorney to talk. I have no idea what he was doing. He could have been at the movies with a double feature with the kids the whole night till dawn. But what do you make of it?
Well, you're right. The police have said he's a person of interest. And then we hear this, that he has what sounds like a very good alibi, that he is with his own kids watching a movie. And then you have to wonder, well, why haven't we put all that together into, I don't understand. I mean, it really doesn't make any sense.
I mean, a movie lasts an hour and a half.
What happened after the movie is the question. You know, how long was the gap before she came home from her from the restaurant, wherein her car was found in the apartment complex, not in front of the apartment? Was there surveillance? Was she with anyone else at the time, this alleged man? We don't know. There's so many questions. So to say that he's a person of interest, but because he's got an alibi and went to the movies, that he's off the hook, I don't think so.
I want to go to Najiva again. Do you have a message for the estranged husband of your missing sister?
The only thing that I would tell him is that he should be thinking of his children all the time. And if he knows anything at all, just to think of his children. You know, the children, they need their mom. And if he loves them that much, then he needs to understand that that's the one thing that he can do for them. Find their mom, get their mom back. If he knows anything, he needs to say it. And he's now a person of interest, so the police are going to be asking him questions, and I hope he understands that this is the most important thing, to find her,
From what you know, has he helped with the search? Has he been out there, like, pounding the pavement looking for her?
No, not with us. I mean, we have done it ourselves, my family, my brother, myself. Friends of hers from high school have met with us. Friends that we haven't seen in years, co-workers have met with us, have walked the pavement, like you said, and gone through shopping centers around her house, distributing flyers, trying to keep the story alive, trying to look for her. And he hasn't been there. He hasn't been around. He hasn't shown that he's looking for her, at least not to us. If he is, I want to see it in the media too. I want to see somebody covering him, you know, showing that he's doing that, you know? I mean, he wants his children back. Does he want her back?
Now, police executed search warrants at the Miramar, Florida home that Velez and Sid used to share, which is outside Miami. They took 28 items, bricks around a flower bed that had strange marks on them, bath towels, female shorts that had some kind of stain that might be blood. We don't know. They also seized a Bible from his white Jaguar and some paint scrapings from the same car. Steve Moore, what do you make of them, especially taking bricks around a flower bed? Some reporters outside the house claimed they thought they saw some kind of smear on those bricks.
Yeah, the standard operating procedure isn't, oh, and don't forget the bricks. That had to be a very specific pull from them. They had to see something. They had to see something that is interesting enough to actually dislodge these bricks. There's something important there. The police have got more information than we have. They've heard about the movie. They're still interested in him. They know something we don't. And the things that they took, to me, are just an indictment that they've got something.
All right. Well, I want you to know, Najiva, we're staying on top of this story. Please contact us if you have any new developments.